Graduate in education and postgraduate in English. She is currently pursuing PhD in business English. She completed her training at ICFAI Hyderabad and successfully completed SoftCom, a specialized training program for soft skill trainers. She has presented papers in different national and international seminars on topics related to soft skills, education, and personal empowerment. Ms. Anju is also skilled in conducting workshops on holistic learning and personal development for students and teachers. We welcome you, Ms. Anju. A warm welcome to Ms. Anju.
Thank you, Janvi. So shall we start?
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Okay. So good evening once again, and welcome all to the session. So the session is on soft skills. So basically, I'll be taking you through an overview of soft skills. Then I'll help you to understand the importance or how soft skills is related to employability and the relevance in your career. So as you all know, the key, so how the relevance of soft skills as well as the importance of soft skills in your success. So basically soft skills means, so if you say soft skills, there is something else known as hard skills also. So if we say the term soft, there is something known as hard also. So soft skills and hard skills. So it is soft skills are basically the skills, as you know, or maybe when if I ask you, you would say that okay, they are a set of skills which includes communication, then your ability to work in a team, then leadership, motivation, then decision making, all these things you would say. So let's try to understand what hard skills are and then come to soft skills. So you write an exam and you're awarded marks, right? At the end of the examination, you get a certificate saying that, okay, this is the marks, 80% distinction, 60, 70, like that. So your marks, your knowledge has been evaluated or assessed and you're given a marks. So which is measurable or quantified. You have a driving license, so your ability to drive on road, either two-wheelers or four-wheelers, are being tested and you're given a license. So the license acts as a proof that shows that, okay, you have that ability to drive. But what about communication? Or what about your decision-making skills? So you say that you are an excellent team player. How do I understand that you are a team player? So you say that you have very good motivation skills, or you say that you are a very good leader. How do others understand that you are a very good leader? There is no quantified or measurable format for it. That's not been measured. So those skills, but at the same time, these are a set of skills which make you unique also. So apart from the degree that you hold, or apart from the skills or hard skills which are measured and quantified, these skills are not, that is, it is very difficult to quantify these skills. But remember, it is these skills which are essential to be hired, at the same time retained, or would definitely prove your success in the workplace. So it is more of, so I would say, how would you acquire this soft skills? So the key to acquiring, or that mindset to acquire the soft skills, is basically understanding yourself. And at the same time, first understanding yourself, then understanding what matters in organizations. And you try to bridge these. This is what we know, what we do, or what soft skills is all about. So the myth about soft skills, there are a lot of myths about soft skills. So some think that, okay, it is only interpersonal skills. Some say that it is only communication. And some believe that it is something which can be theoretically taught. Soft skills. Maybe you can train one on soft skills, but I do not know how far you can teach soft skills. Then some say that, okay, soft skills is psychology. So it is not psychology alone. But I would say that, okay, soft skill is a separate domain area, but some say that, okay, it has nothing to do with other subjects or other domains. No, soft skills definitely has a link with, or it is interdependent on all of the subjects that you learn, whether it is mathematics, whether it is social science, whether it is philosophy, or whether it is commerce. It is irrespective of the domain, there is an interdependency on soft skills. You'll be able to find that. And why does this soft skills matter in organizations? So it helps us to deploy our personality, the attitude and behavior to successfully manage our lives, relationships around us. So it is the same set of skills which helps you to collaborate with others in a seamless and frictionless manner. So what I'd like to say here at this point, I'm reminded of this analogy of this carrot. You would have heard that many times, carrot, bean, coffee bean, and egg. So it is, what happens is most of us, when we face challenges, we would be hard outside like a carrot or a potato. But when you boil down, what happens is, or when you're put in deep waters, or when you come across, or when you face challenges, what happens is you become very weak. You may be hard as an egg with a shell outside, but very brittle. But when you boil, you become very hard. So, but what companies require? So people also are appreciated like this. So there are three people, these set of people who like to be, that is when in the workplace, even when they are in the workplace, people who have the reasonable skill of or reasonable level of soft skills get appreciated. But the others find it very difficult to survive also. So some people, as I told you, they are very tough in the beginning, but when boil or when they face difficult situation, they become very hard, or sometimes they become very soft. As a result, what happens is some start with a sensitive heart, and as you face life, or as you face the tough situations, you become very insensitive. You become hard-hearted. It will be only bitterness. There'll be no feeling, warm feeling, no concern. So it depends on which one you choose to be, whether hard as a carrot, or soft as or brittle as an egg. You need to decide. But there is something which is very unique about the coffee bean. So when it is put in water, it tries to change the color of water, and at the same time it provides you with a rich aroma. So the hotter the water, the better the taste. So you like coffee also, or it is appreciated. So what happens is people, or when you start working with others, whether it is a group or a team, or in an organization, what they like is they want you to be like the coffee bean. So you learn something new from each of the difficulties that you face and create something new from them. And you get confident, at the same time you get enriched too. So that is what people like. And at the same, so you like doing the job that you do, you like doing the work, and at the same time you make the world around you also better. So basically, it is a set of skills. So let me give you, let me simplify it by saying this. Okay, how many of us blame ourselves when things go wrong? Right, we all have the habit of blaming others. When something goes wrong, we always blame others. We do not look into ourselves. So some of us, maybe you have encountered this situation before. You cross the street to avoid meeting people known to you. Okay, you see somebody coming opposite to you, but you want to avoid that person. Sometimes you feel very insecure with yourself. Sometimes in social gatherings, you prefer to stay at the background. You do not come to the front. Sometimes you feel very embarrassed to enter into a room full of people already seated, right? So we all have that kind of situations. Okay, we feel we have encountered that situations many times. So a room full of people, and imagine you're giving a talk to them, a group of a speech to a group of strangers. So how do you feel? And sometimes we feel bored about us or bored about the things that we are doing most of the time. And there are some others who try to dominate others also. Though we do not do anything, we try to dominate others. Some people, they keep busy in things that they are interested in. So I have been telling you or giving you examples of people, different kinds of people or different kinds of situations we encounter or we normally come across in our daily lives. So problems or difficulties are a part of our life, but how we handle it. So one word which resonated with the onslaught of COVID everywhere was the word resilience. So that is also a soft skill, they say. How resilient you are in facing situations. So when you start working, what companies want is, or that is, people would always prefer to have that is in their circles people with good level of soft skills. So companies also want people not like the egg or neither like the carrot or the potato. They prefer people like the coffee bean. So they want people with the real skills. So soft skills in a nutshell, I would like to say that, okay, it is communication. It is broadly communication skills, which requires, which consists of delegating skills, listening skills, or presentation skills. For example, then interaction, your skill in interacting with others. For example, your attitude, ability to handle conflicts, your ability to cooperate with others, possessing good etiquette, working team willingness, working to be willing to be a part of a team. Then the most important is the set of self-management skills, which we all try to neglect. That is self-management skills like the ability, your self-discipline, the self-assessment skills that we have, ability to resist stress, decision-making skills, willingness to learn, So finding each of the opportunities that we have or taking each of the learning opportunity that we encounter as a learning opportunity, your ability, your self-assessment, ability, your strengths and weaknesses. That is, you have an assessment about your own self. So all these things or all these skills basically constitute the soft skills. So categories of soft skills, it has been said that there are people skills involved here. So as I mentioned here, your ability to communicate. So you're communicating with others. So again, there are a set of people, your attitude to communicate, your ability to listen. So it is not hearing, the ability to listen, be attentive, mentoring, appreciating new ideas, etc. And self-management skills, as I told you, consists of self-assessment, consists of positive attitude, motivating your own self, persistence, managing time, managing stress, etc. So soft skills versus hard skill, as I mentioned earlier. So that is, these are the so my ability to communicate or my ability to interact with others. Okay, I say I have very good written communication skills. So what is the proof for it? Okay, my ability to work in a team. I have very good interpersonal skills. My ability to lead a team. My ability as a leader. My ability as a good strategist, my ability as a mentor, my ability as a good communicator, my ability as a good decision maker, my ability to handle my time or manage my time, my ability to handle my stress. All these constitute. So they help us. So these soft skills help us to work in a frictionless manner with others. So these are something which, as I told you initially, they cannot be non-transferable skills. So your ability to communicate or your ability to interact, your ability to cooperate, being accountable is also a soft skill, part of soft skill. So all this, it is only non-transferable. And at the same time, it cannot be measured also. It is intangible. But hard skills, as I told you, they are measurable. At the same time, they are teachable too. So a good amount of or a good blend of both hard and soft skill guarantees success. So it is not that I'm not saying that, okay, your degree, your marks aren't essential. They are important. Content, of course, is important. But how you put your content or how you put your knowledge into the particular context, or that is what is important. And soft skills is that set of skills, or it's that gives you the edge over others to put your hard skills in a better way so that you get appreciated or you are appreciated for what you do. So your ability is being appreciated. So that is what is important in soft skills. So moving on to the next one. So what matters in organization is a combination of these two, or a combination of these two. So earlier, when in organizations, they used to consider only the intelligence quotient, and times have changed, and they want people to be they wanted people to be very reasonable, but now it is they look for people who are reasonable. At the same time, they want people who are emotionally in control or emotionally in charge of themselves. That is, they value intelligence, your intelligence quotient also. So it is not IQ alone that matters in organizations. These days, it is your IQ as well as your emotional quotient that matters. So IQ and plus your emotional quotient, that determines your performance. So when you start working or when you start interacting with people, what matters more is a combination of your intelligence or as well as your emotional quotients. That gives you an edge, and that determines your performance. So this is what matters in organizing. But as I told you, what is the key to any soft skills? What is the key to learning or imbibing soft skills? So immerse yourself in an environment like that. So when I say that, okay, I possess communication skills, when I say that, okay, I can manage myself, when I say that, okay, I can interact very well with others, what do I mean here? So these are, always remember, this is the most important thing about soft skills. It is so conspicuous to others. So it is a set of skills which are very conspicuous to others, but you are unaware of it. That is, you're not conscious of it. Right? My ability to use an open body language. So my when I communicate with others, okay, how open I am. So that gets demonstrated through my display of open body language also. How do I greet my friends? How do I greet the other person? How do I appreciate the other person? Okay, a pat on the shoulder will do. But do I have that mind to appreciate the other person? That is what matters. So here, so I'm not conscious of it. It comes out involuntarily, whereas a person on the other side tries to understand, or it is so conspicuous to the person on the person on the other side. That is the most crucial thing that you're aware. So you may not be aware of these skills, but so we see that okay, that person is energetic or open-minded, whereas another way we would say that okay, that person is not at all encouraging, we say, or you feel like talking to one person at a time, but you may totally try to ignore the other person because you are attracted by certain qualities which are very conspicuous in that person. So those qualities or those abilities by which you are attracted, or those conspicuous personal qualities, are the soft skills. So the key to any soft skills is the self. You don't have to run around seeking or looking for somebody to teach you on soft skills. It is basically built upon ourselves, or the entire thing it rests upon ourselves. So then, and as I told you before, it is more of self-management also. So you have been given, you have undergone education, formal education, then training, then throughout your life you have been learning also. You've been a continuous learner also. So your education over a period of time has given you some inputs, maybe good manners when you go to school. You've been taught the responsibilities, you've been taught good manners, etc. in school. Then you undergo some training, okay, professional training or technical training. That also gives you some knowledge, or it gives you some inputs. And then you are a continuous learner. You read, you observe, you listen to others and learn. You interact with your friends, you interact with people and learn so many things. So this continuous learning process also helps you in imbibing soft skills. So throughout these learning, training, or learning process, you've been learning, or there has been a change, and we call it as ASK. That is, ASK. That acronym stands for attitude. A stands for attitude, S stands for skills, and K for knowledge. So ASK, there is a change in ASK, or there is a degree of, or there is a level of change. So maybe your attitude changes, improves, you gain the right attitude, your skills changes, you acquire a lot of skills, you learn something new, you learn a new language, that is a skill. You learn to write better, that is a skill. You learn a different sport, again you learn a set of skills. So this happens over a period of time. Then you acquire knowledge also. Maybe by reading, through experience, by doing projects, internships, all this gives you experience or knowledge. So there is a change in attitude, there is a change in skills, there is a change in knowledge. So this decides or determines your competency. Your ask, or your attitude, skills, and knowledge determines your competencies, and that pushes you forward to change. Right? So with the right attitude, okay, I have a good degree. I have so many degrees attached to me. I have learned a lot, but I have learned some skills also, or I have acquired some skills over a period of time. But without attitude, I'll not be competent at all. I may be competent in doing certain tasks, but when it comes to my attitude and interacting with others, I may not be appreciated at all. So that pulls me down, or that will not enable me to change. So what I was telling you is, so the attitude, the skills, knowledge is entirely yours. So the change in attitude, the change in skills, the change in knowledge gives you competent or builds competency in you. And it is this competency which enables you to change or move forward. And that, so when you start changing, what happens? You are triggered to a change. As a result, your performance increases. So that is what matters in organizations, or when you start working. So say nobody would, they may give you training, they may give you training, they may give you good perks, but how long would they wait? So you'd be willing to change. Unless you're willing to change and grow or move forward to performance, organizations will not accept you. They will not let you stay there for long. So it is important. It is a key ingredient for success. So it helps you to take new challenges, understand new challenges, and embark on those challenges. Another crucial thing is the willingness to learn and unlearn. Your learning doesn't stop just by imbibing a degree. It doesn't end with a degree certificate. So your learning is continuous. So what you learn, there are times when you need to unlearn also. So you realize that, okay, your learning when you were in school is not enough. So you were unlearning and building on your learning. So over a period of time, when you start working, you understand that, okay, whatever I have learned should be, I should add further upon my learning. So you unlearn and try to relearn also. That is also important. So those people, so it is this attitude or your competency which helps you to learn, unlearn, and relearn. So it is a set of skills which is, so if I am adamant, if I think that, okay, this is enough, my learning is over, I'm not going to unlearn at all, I'll not be a good team player. Nobody would appreciate me, or I'll not be able to contribute to the success of the team or the growth of the organization, in whatever ways you may call it. So ability to, so a crucial skill as student or as a learner we should have. One thing is that, remember, we are all continuous learners. And this learning helps us to unlearn, or we learn to unlearn and relearn. That is what you need to remember. Then ability to compete and collaborate. Ability to compete and collaborate. So it's not an individual journey alone. So when you start working, it is a group work or it is a teamwork. So understand the overall objective and start working together. You try to contribute or you try to collaborate with the other members of the group. So there you cannot say, you cannot sit aside or sit aloof saying that, okay, I am the manager, I'll only do this. Or you say that, okay, I have not learned this. I don't want to learn this also, or I'm not part of this group, that is none of my business. No, that will not work. In today's organizations, only you will be able to survive only if you can compete and collaborate. And the attitude. The never give up attitude. So in the next session, we'll be discussing in detail regarding the aspect called attitude. And what is the value that you're contributing? Ability to add value to the place, ability to add value to the organization that you're working for, ability to add value to the customers that you're giving service to. That is what is important. You will be remembered only for that. So it is well proven that hard skills contribute only to around 50% of one's success, whereas soft skills contribute to around 85%. So your ability to interact with others, the ability to articulate your feelings, express, collaborate, and change matters a lot in organizations. So so the important thing is, so when you start working, what they want is, or organizations would be looking for unique answers, and those answers should reflect the confidence. There should be clarity in your answers, or clarity in the way you communicate. There should be a focus. People should be able to identify that focus, your sincerity, your interest, your goal orientation, your ability to connect through thought and language, your ability to reflect and learn, or eagerness to learn. All these matters in organizations when you start working. So the transition is understand yourself. So we always have an identity. As human beings, we have an identity, right? So you have a self identity, and at the same time you expect, okay, what should people think about me, or what should people say about me? That is the social identity that you have. Then you have a mental identity, or let's talk about the physical identity. Okay, you have a body language, you have a good physique, your appearance, your gestures, postures, all those things that constitute your physical identity. So as a being in the society, the social identity that you have, the physical identity that you have, and the mental identity that you have. Okay, what am I capable of? What can I do? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? How can I find opportunity in this one? What do I like most? What am I good at? So that gives you a mental identity. So as I told you, the entire concept of this self matters a lot in imbibing soft skills. So it is your it is your physical identity, your mental identity, social identity, and a far-fetched one can be your spiritual identity also. So I may not be able to, I won't be talking more about spiritual identity here, but those who have thought about it would understand that there is something there is an identity that exists in the form of spirit also. So where we always try to think about, okay, who am I? What is my purpose? What is the purpose of my birth? What am I doing here? All those things. So you need not be concerned about those things. So that comes to you only at a later point of time. But right now, as you start working, or as you're looking or searching for jobs, or want to interact with people, or in your relationships, what you can do is, these are the things that matter. These identities matter a lot. So if you try to identify them, and then take charge of themselves, identify what is wrong, what is right in them, and then try to correct the mistakes, you'll be able to find answers to a lot of questions that you've been troubled with, or so many of your doubts, etc. Right? So it is finally, so all these things finally constitute again the self, which consists of your beliefs, your feelings, and behavior. So I had told you it is your identity, physical identity, social identity, and mental identity. And that's maybe for your understanding, I have put it as your beliefs, your feelings, your behavior. All these matters, or all these determines your success. So your behavior in the workplace, or your behavior in the your behavior when you are in a group, your behavior when you play together, your sportsman spirit, your behavior in your WhatsApp group, your behavior outside in the society, your behavior with your friends, your behavior with your elders, the belief that you have, your self-respect, the esteem that you have about yourself, the self-esteem. So that brings about the self-discipline. Then the feelings that you have. All these constitute the element called soft skills. So what companies, they look for people who are very normal, straightforward, direct, polite, who can engage in their work, and one who respects themselves at the same time respects others also. So they have an image which is very strong, or a pillar like image. So people who are very normal, very clear, straightforward, direct, focused, polite, who can engage, who have that respect, self-respect, and at the same time respects others. But at the same time, we come across different set of people, like the submissive ones and the arrogant ones, aggressive ones. But they may be there as models outside, but do not try to imitate them. You can try to adjust yourself and be assertive in your dealings. That is what people like. So there are so many things by which this bricks of soft skills can be laid upon. So it can be called as smart work. It can be the skill development. So it does. You do not acquire these things over a period of time. So maybe when you were in school or when you were in college together, close. That is when you were attending classes, the regular face-to-face classes, okay, you would have understood the difference. And now when you're doing things like these or webinars like this, so you would like to you know how far the changes that has happened over a period of time, so how far it has affected, so how you have been looking at these in a different way, in a new way, then imbibing uh, the way of the imbibing the ways to do things quickly, then having that passion to develop, having that urge or earnestness to develop, then having good emotional quotient or managing your emotions, having the right attitude. All this helps us to be adaptable. And so what companies want is people who can adapt to changes, who can adapt to their workplace very fast. So you may say that, okay, when you start working, you would be working, you would look at a place which is very convenient to you, which is very near to your hometown. You may not be willing to travel. So we cannot call that adaptability. So when you're when you're in a new place, or when changes come to you, how quickly you adapt, how quickly you adapted to the online learning, how quickly you adapted to the different change in environment due to lockdown, social distancing, wearing masks, all those things. Those are all examples. So how quickly did you adapt to? So there is an enforcement there. That is why we need to change. But there are situations in life where it doesn't enforce anything upon us. As a result, what happens? We have that lethargy, or we may feel complacent enough. So that should not be the attitude. What I'm saying is having the right attitude towards work, having the right attitude towards certain situations, exploring things, being observant, being a good listener, execution. So each of these aspects we can talk about, or we can think about this and talk about for us. Maybe the different small minute skill sets. So finally, what matters in organizations are your smart work, your ability to engage, your skills, your skills like creativity, your ability to innovate, your ability to be part of a team, your ability to think critically, think logically, think with reason, your ability to be passionate in the job that you're doing or work that you're doing, your emotional quotients, or your ability to manage your emotions, I would say, instead of emotional quotient, your ability to explore things, know things more, your ability to explore things more, your ability to execute things, your attitude finally determines your success. So never give up. So organizations want people who are in a position to distinguish themselves. So you try to differentiate yourself doing your work with care, doing your work with passion. So you don't have to look at big things. Even small things need to be, or even small things be important to you or are important to you. So if you want to really succeed, you need to be different. You need to think different and at the same time be different. So being different is by your set of soft skills combined with your hard skills. So you need to make presentations. How good you make, how good you make presentations, how good you express your ideas. So it is not, I'm not saying that okay, you'll be in a position to develop all these, or you'll prove excellent in all these skills. But a certain degree is required. Maybe a certain level of ability to communicate, a certain interpersonal level of interpersonal skills, a certain level of collaborating, certain level of time management skills, certain level of self-management skills. Self-management skills, I would say, it is not certain level, it is that we can learn and manage more. See, because we find it very difficult to manage others, right? We find it very difficult to manage other people, we say. But what about managing yourself? Managing whatever you have, managing your emotions, managing your time, managing your managing your abilities, managing your emotions, managing your frustrations. All this helps you to survive well. Then celebrate. These are a few tips which I'd like to give you. Celebrating maybe which would help you. So we may look at the larger picture, that is fine. But at the same time, what is important is I understand what is that is trying to appreciate the minute aspects of life, small aspects of life. So celebrating smaller victories. So it is not that you celebrate birthdays, you celebrate big victories. India winning a match, you can celebrate that. But when was you celebrated a victory? It can be even a small thing that you do. You had felt that you would never be able to do something, and one day you realize, understand that, okay, you, with your own effort, you have done that. So you definitely deserve an appreciation for it. So you deserve a pat on your back. That is the greatest victory to you. So celebrate the small victories that you make for yourself. So birthday celebrations or all other celebrations are external, but so it is to prove or it is to show. But how can you show that you love yourself? By start loving what are your small victories. So please try to. So these are the changes which can be brought about in yourself so that you understand the beauty of it. So when was the last time that you celebrated a small victory? Building, that is one thing. So these are some changes which you can bring about in yourself. Another one is building relationships, and that too building strong relationships. These days, whenever we interact, people always look for, okay, what is there in for me? What is that I am going to get? But understand, relationships will survive only when there is mutual value. What is the value that you're giving? Because initially also you were able to see in the slide that, okay, what is the value that we are giving, willing to give to the other person? So it rests upon, or long-lasting relationship rests upon the mutual value that you share. That is why relationships these days are short-lived, because you only look for what is there in for me. So instead of that, please start looking at what is that in for them, what is in for the other person. rather than looking at what is there in for me. So you can sustain these relationships, or there is a healthy value exchange when you start thinking about in this way, like what is that I'm going to give the other person. So there is a value exchange, there is a long lasting relationships, or your relationship gets sustained and you no longer have to worry. So your relationship becomes strong. Setting high standards. Players, for example, so always look at the difference between good and outstanding. The difference between being good and outstanding. So never compromise on other aspects of failing. So Michael Jordan, he always mentioned that his secret to success was that he demanded more from himself every day. So he did not demand anything from others. He demanded more from himself. That is understanding from being good to being the outstanding. Setting the right expectations. So you may have the right expectations in the sense, okay, as students we have, okay, you know the limits, you know your abilities, you know your what you're good at. So based on that, you set the right expectations. So right expectations for all the parties involved also, right? And another thing is under promise and over deliver. That is what people like. Sometimes we do not, that is, we overpromise. Okay, I'll be able to do it, you say. Can you do this? Okay, I very well say that. I agree to that, saying that, okay, I can. But what happens is you may not be able to deliver as you have promised. So it would be better you under promise and over deliver, and ask for help also. If you do not know anything, if you cannot do anything, please ask for help. So when you're asking for help, you learn another valuable quality. That is, you become humble. You say that, you say to yourself that I do not know. You accept that you do not know. As a result, you become humble. You ask the other one. You ask the other person. So you may look for Google. You may ask Google. But there are people also. When you fumble upon things, when you do not know how to keep yourself forward in a kind of relationship, ask elders because they are experienced. Do not undervalue them. So asking for help, seeking for help from others, seeking for help from people who are experienced, seeking for help from people who are learned, that can be cultivated. And then embracing uncertainty with ease, that is by asking the right questions. Asking the right question. So question 1 is, I'm giving you just example. Question 1 may be, okay, sometimes we may ask, okay, what am I getting out of it? Okay, I'm sitting here, what am I getting out of it? Instead of that, you may reframe that question or rephrase that question like, what am I becoming? By being present here for half an hour or for 1 hour, by being a good listener, what am I becoming? Or what is the change that happens to me? Instead of asking the question, what am I getting? Another question is, which we often ask is, why is this happening to me alone? We always ask, okay, when we face hardships, when we come across troubles, we keep on asking, why is this? Why me alone? Why is this happening to me alone or us alone? We ask. Instead, if you try to rephrase and understand or look at it in a different perspective and try to find out what am I learning out of it or what am I learning from this, that helps you to that helps you to sustain, or that helps you to encounter that or learn from it. And another question, I do not know, but you would have heard many times at home or in your home also. Why can't he or she understand me? And even in your relationships also, you may say, okay, he cannot understand me. He doesn't understand me at all, or she doesn't understand me at all. We keep on saying this every time. Even I do say, I used to say this, but I recently I've changed that. So why do we change that? So how can we see that in a better way? How can we reframe that in a better way? How can I communicate so that he or she understands me? So that person is not able to understand you, or the other one is not able to understand you because you were not able to communicate in such a way that the person understands. So the reframed question is, how can I communicate in such a way that he or she understands me? So if you start, see, if you make these small corrections in your life, you'll be able to appreciate life, and at the same time, you'll be able to get something out of it also. Trying to communicate effectively, then learning to accept feedback as well as criticisms. There is difference between feedback and criticisms. So accepting feedback, okay, friends you may appreciate, okay, feedback or criticism from friends you may appreciate, but feedback from others, or sorry, feedback from or criticisms, never. If your mother criticizes you, you won't accept. If your brother or if your sibling criticizes you, you won't accept. But there is a lot that you can learn from it also. But there are a lot many differences between these two, giving accepting feedback and giving criticisms like that. You learn a lot in that. And do not, finally, I'd like to say that, okay, do not hesitate to ask for help. Do not hesitate to ask for help whenever you require it. See, most of the problems that we encounter, if you look, the solutions can be found that, okay, there are people who would be able to help you out. So one reason why they falter in their life or fumble in their life is that they don't want to, or they don't have the mind or that attitude to ask for help, or have that open-mindedness to ask for help. Then treat others with dignity and respect. Maintain the work ethics, have that integrity, support your colleagues at times of need, manage your emotions wherever you are, and finally, be mindful of your choice of words. So if you're concerned about others, if you have respect for yourself, you will have respect for others also. So if you are concerned about others, you will be mindful. You'll be definitely mindful about the choice of your words, then tone of your voice, even your nonverbal cues or your body language that you or emotions that you express. And if you try, that is, you'll be able to understand the relationships better. So it is finally so that you can build upon your soft skills over a period of time by focusing on your self-knowledge and self-awareness. So if this process starts early, fine. So you can observe the people around you and try to understand what is good in you, and try to at the same time emulate positive behaviors, and try to minimize the negative aspects or negative behaviors to a large extent. So in that way, you can create, or you can build upon your soft skills and create a better you. It is not better world, it is creating a better you. So here the change is happening for yourself, which is rather difficult. We try to change the world, we try to change the environment, we try to change others. But when you try to change yourself, you will understand that the change is difficult, but at the same time, the change that you bring about in you is long lasting. It may be difficult. The birth pangs, of course, to change would be definitely difficult. But if you try to change or if you're trying to change your own self, you will be able to bring about a long-lasting effect on the lives of others. And at the same time, you'll be able to contribute to the society also. This is what is required. So with that, I come to the end of the session on soft skills.
Thank you so much, Anju ma'am. It was a wonderful session. Even I got to learn many new things today.
In fact, it was so many things compressed, and even I was,
Yes.
wow, I found it very difficult to compress all these elements together in a matter of 1 hour and present it. That was why I was suddenly I had my own thoughts. Maybe deviating to other aspects also, but I try to restrain it.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Deviating in the sense in all these things which we know, because it's so a lot of things compressed together for a matter
Yes.
of 1 hour. Fine.
Yes, ma'am. Sure, sure. It's really wonderful. And we'll be having a 5 minute break. Ma'am, 5 minutes or 10 minutes?
No, it's up to them. It's up to them. I don't mind.
Okay. Okay, we'll be having a 10 minutes break, and after which we will be resuming. So if you have any doubts regarding this topic which ma'am has taken now, so kindly put it in the chat box. That is, when I talk with my known people, I'm able to talk fluently. But
Uh-huh.
when I'm talking to other people which are not known, I'm
Mhm.
not able to communicate much further. So what can I do for this?
Okay, Dhanush, it is a problem which we all face. In fact, see, I'm talking to you like this, but I was not the person like this before many years. Even I used to fumble or I used to shiver before an audience. So what we can do is, okay, when it is a familiar group, okay, you feel like talking to them or you are not nervous. But when it is an unfamiliar group, so the first thing is that I would say it is only practice. So every situation that you are in group of that is that you are in a group with strangers, you make use of the opportunity, try to interact with them in small levels or small degrees, and then increase your confidence in speaking to a larger group. So that is the only thing that you can do. Because, okay, you're presenting in a group, in a class. So why not present in a group of students of different departments? That is one idea. Or maybe in small, uh, that is in your small interactions. So it may be a group of strangers, one or two strangers, talk to them. So you initiate the conversation and build up the confidence. So it is only by building up the confidence that you can talk to a group of strangers also, and by practice. So it is not that you do not know anything to speak. You know what to speak. But what is important is you have to break that barrier. So what I try to identify what is preventing you from speaking to a group of strangers. Is it the stage fright, or is it the nervousness, or is it the lack of knowledge? So you feel that, okay, they are far superior to me in terms of knowledge, so that, okay, they may ignore what I'm saying. So try to identify which area you are nervous at, and then overcome that, or practice building upon it, and you will definitely improve your confidence and you'll be able to speak better.
Okay, ma'am.
Is it fine?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, ma'am. One student has said that I am very expressive. Is it a
Uh-huh.
bad thing?
Never. You should be expressive. You should be expressive and open-minded. But at the same time, if you're very expressive, see, depending on the group that you are in, because if it is a friend, if it's a familiar group, okay, you can be expressive because they already know you. But sometimes when you're in an unfamiliar group, maybe they may not appreciate what you say. Sometimes it may be indirectly hurting their feelings also. It may be indirectly hurting their sentiments. So try to understand which group you are in, and then be expressive. So you always take into consideration the environment or the group also while communicating. The audience matters a lot. Is that fine?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Very true. Ma'am, one student, Khan Asra, has said, how to handle oneself in a environment where you are constantly unappreciated, even though you are doing the best. It may be workplace because of which you won't feel like working because of low morale.
Yes.
Your low morale.
So over a period of time, see if that's the problem means, I would say you would definitely gain the confidence and get out of the organization. So if you are in a group of people who are constantly responsible to bring down your morale, and if that is constantly they are criticizing your work doesn't get appreciated, uh, and if it has been years and you are trying to overcome, and if you feel that okay, that aspect of it, their negative maybe that that bad company affects your relationship with others, even you are changing yourself for their sake, it is better you do not stay in that organization for long. So if you have the ability to be able to maybe fight back, you can, but at the same time that will bring in a lot of what you call that will bring in a lot of uh, maybe hurts or stains to the relationships. So that depends on the organization you work for, and if the people in the or the hierarchy understands you or they appreciate your work, fine. Otherwise, it would be better you talk to them and come out of the organization. And if you are very confident of your skills, maybe you find a better job rather than being in their company. Company means a company of people. That is what I suggest in the long term. Sure, so short term you try to adjust, then you adjust with them, or you try to adapt, and there may be a point of time where you try to adapt and at the same time you understand that okay, you are losing or sacrificing your individuality. So never do that, or never sacrifice your integrity for that sake. So at that point of time you should realize that okay, it is time for me to leave, whatever be the kind of organization that you're working for, and look for, and if that's the case, means definitely you will find another one, another better opportunity.
Yes, ma'am. True. Ma'am, very much true.
These are all practical live examples.
Yes.
So
Yes. Ma'am, next question is, how can we overcome our anxiety problem? Because most of the time, anxiety destroys our confidence and spoils our performance.
yes, anxiety almost, maybe it's related, more or less related to stress. So because we have a session on stress management even, and I don't think I am a person capable enough to speak about handling anxiety and stress, because I do get excited and at the same time I become anxious quite a lot. But at the same time, we need to manage our anxiety also. So that is, every time we come across these situations, try to understand, is it really required? Is it really required? It is the best thing that you can think about that situation. If it is required, okay, sometimes it may be unnecessary. And understand what is your role or responsibility in it. Can you bring that down? Or what is your role in that? If you do not have any role in that, why should you be anxious? And if you have a greater role to play, of course you need to be anxious about it. So if you don't have any, so it is happening somewhere outside where I cannot do anything, I don't have any role at all, means okay, you can ignore it. And if there are situations where you feel that okay, you are part of it, try to try to understand the situation in practical terms. Is it really required? Or what are the probable solutions? Probable solutions, and then try to come up with the best solution, and you'll be able to deal it. Otherwise, so think about the situation and then uh, be reasonable. So anxiety, it's a part of our emotion. So in those situations, do not give importance or do not be carried away by this emotion. Rather, hold your, that is, you should have control or reins over your thoughts, so that you think about the reality, think about the practical situation, think logically, so that you find a better answer and how to survive that situation. So most of the time what happens is, in our relationships or in our engagements with others, what we do is we try to think about, not about that is, we don't reason. It is out of our emotions that we talk, or it is our emotional outbursts uh, which gets reflected. So try to bring down that and think with reason, so that you will get solutions, or you will find solutions for it. That's my answer.
Yes, ma'am. Another
And
question.
everything,
Yes.
every time, one more thing, every time what happens is we become very adamant, because we think that, okay, we are the right on, we are always right, and whatever we think is right, and at the same time we are not willing to move out of that situation, or as I told you, that word, unlearn or relearn out of that. So it is not learning as such, the literal meaning. Mm. So as we think that, okay, why should I give it up? That's the question. So if I think that, okay, I should not, if I feel that, okay, I should give it up. Sometimes I may feel that, okay, why should I give it up? So if you're not unwilling or budging at that point of time, maybe you will not be in a position to come across solutions which are really important in your lives. Yes. What was the other question, Janvi? Hello.
Hello. Sorry,
Ah,
ma'am.
you were
Yeah.
coming. You had another question also.
Yes. Another question is, I see everything that is happening in my mind. Should I don't say what I'm thinking? Means that she is outspoken. That is the meaning. So she should she continue with her nature or not?
Could you please repeat the question?
I see everything that is happening in my mind, she
Mhm.
says, and should I
That's
don't say
uh,
what I'm thinking? That is
okay.
whatever she thinks, she's saying it
Ah,
outspokenly.
okay. So you mean to say that, okay, you are outspoken. So there are some
Yes.
things which needs to be told, and there are some things which need not be told. So it depends. So if it is your close friend, means, okay, you can burst out. But if it is your teacher, or if it is somebody, your professor, you cannot do that. You cannot. So depending on the person whom you are addressing, you can bring down that. So it is not that you cannot, that is, because we have to restrain our feelings, you have to restrain our thoughts also. So if you feel that, okay, but you cannot vent that thought, one way by which you can limit that is by writing down. Maybe, I do not know whether you find time to write it down. So when you write it down and read it, you feel that, okay, there are some things only which are very relevant or validated, and some things are unnecessary. So in due course, you will get rid of that habit. But it is again on how you're willing to do it. So nobody likes somebody who is outspoken. So depending on the person whom you are talking to or addressing, you can restrict your feelings and then talk. Because see, you cannot hurt somebody with your thoughts. You cannot be blunt on somebody with another person's thoughts, with your thoughts, right? You need to be considerate enough also. You need to be empathetic also. Okay, if I tell, what will the other person feel? Am I going to hurt that person? No. Will the person take it in the right sense? Fine. Okay, go about it. So if it is your sibling, okay, you can. But if it is your neighbor, you cannot. So depending on the relationship that you have, you need to think, okay, is it right for me to speak like that? Am I going to hurt that person? No, you need to be empathetic at times also. That is another thing which we need to cultivate. Has your question been answered?
Yes,
So it
ma'am.
is very hard, very difficult to connect these answers sometimes. So it comes out of experience or comes out of situations only. Maybe another person may not be in a position to understand what, this question. So it depends. Those are all individualistic questions. Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Next question is how to cope up with nervousness.
Uh-huh.
And if you want to share some new ideas, but you don't feel confident.
Uh-huh. So
That's the question.
again, sharing new ideas to a group, and that always understand your audience. Always understand your audience while you're speaking. So whom are you saying? Are you convinced about your idea? So you say that, okay, it is a new idea. Are you convinced of what you're saying? Then you can tell them. Because the other person, the person on the other side, or are you in a position to make the other person understand or communicate in such a way that the other person understands? When you try to tell me something, okay, I'll have an open mind, and at the same time, at the same, I'll have an open mind and accept what you say. But when you talk to another person, okay, how can I not accept this? Another person may you look your view like that. So are you in a position? Have you understood what you're trying to say? So when you are in a position, or when you have understood what you have to say, you would be able to convince the other person also. That is one aspect of it. Always understand your audience and speak. So so who the other person, and then speak. So if you do not know, if you doubt about the other person, if you doubt about the reliability of the other person, it is better not to say. And overcoming fear. So it is the one thing which you can overcome fear. That is, if you ask people what is the greatest fear that they have, is the greatest fear of speaking, the greatest fear of expressing, or talking before an audience. That is fine. So how can you overcome that? It is only by practice. So fear can be overcome, and that practice means gradual step-by-step process. So you're talking to an audience for 1 minute, you're talking to an audience for 2 minutes, and like that you increase. So one step is, okay, you stand in front of a mirror and then talk. Another thing is you prepare a talk, and then you, that is, you face the audience and tell them, or that is, you give the speech, or you present your idea. That is one thing that you can do. So, but all these things, so fear can be conquered only by conquering it. So there is a story about it. It's like a ghost which comes every year, and there lived a ghost, and that used to come down the valley and consume, or that is used to take a man from that kingdom. And every year the ghost took one person from that kingdom, and that day it was the prince's turn. So the king wanted his son or the prince to go as that is become the prey to the ghost. So the ghost started coming down with a huge noise, making a huge loud noise. The um, prince also started walking towards the ghost. And as he started near, or as he was approaching, the he felt that the ghost was making the noise made by the ghost was so intense that he found it very difficult to control it. And he with all his strength and his sword, he moved forward. So he could see the ghost also approaching towards him. So when he went near the ghost, he took out his sword and lashed the sword at the ghost. So he fell down, the ghost fell down. And he understood that it was not a big, huge figure. So as he started moving towards the ghost, he understood that the figure was diminishing slowly, slowly, slowly. So when he was at a distance, he felt that it was a huge giant. That is, he found it very difficult to conquer it. And as he approached, he found that it was only like him. And with all his strength, he lashed the sword at the giant, and the giant fell down. And when the giant fell down, the prince asked, "Who are you?" And the giant whispered, "I am your fear." So that's the story. Every time I come across or encounter situations like this, I am reminded of this story. So it is like the fear that we have in ourselves. So we have built it to such an extent that it becomes gigantic, unconquerable. And it is this fear which is preventing you from approaching to things, approaching to new experiences. But as you start walking towards it, you realize that the fear diminishes gradually, and finally you'll be able to conquer your nervousness or fear. So that is why fear exists itself, to be conquered. Is it clear? So conquer
Yes.
your fear.
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Yeah. Hi, Janvi, and hi, everybody. Anju, that was wonderful.
Yes,
It
good
was
evening,
really
sir.
nice having been for some time. I've been seeing some questions overall. Few things I would like to mention here. One is the soft skills training. There is nothing called right or wrong in soft skills. Somebody has asked, is it right to be passive? Is it right to be assertive? So there is nothing right or wrong. Please understand. It all depends on the circumstances. So a person has to be aggressive at times, has to be passive at times. We will have to adjust to the circumstances. There is no right or wrong. There is no straight statement that one can make that this is right or this is wrong. That is something which we all must understand. I'm sure as the various session goes and various people come and speak about various topics in soft skill training, in soft skills, I mean, you will definitely understand this. And it was a wonderful story about fear that Anju just said. And somebody has been asking how to get out of comfort zone. See, most of these things are within us. Okay,
Yes.
it is for us to think through, set our minds, or rather change your mindset and face things. It is all in our hands. I also said somebody in the chat saying that I can write English beautifully, but then I can't speak. So the best way is that I still remember long back, of course, 25, 30 years back when I started public speaking, I was trained that those days we didn't have mobiles or recorders or anything. So we used to stand in front of a mirror and speak. Okay, so that we could see what would be our body language. There used to be a tape recorders where we used to record our speeches and then keep playing it. Today you have all the technology in front of you. It's all in your hands, and I think 99% of the students will have a smartphone, and these smartphones definitely have a camera. You can record yourself, you can hear, and you can speak, you can practice. Only thing that needs is your willingness to do things. Unless you're willing to make things better for yourself, nobody else can do it. All these sessions, whatever we are speaking, it's all very good as long as you put it to practice. It is of really not great value to you. So my request to each and every student is that please, of course, listen to these and try practicing it whenever you get your time. So that's something which I would like to add on here. So Anju, I just thought I'll just add these few words. The
Yes.
forum is back to you. I guess you're starting this next topic, so the forum is back to you, Anju.
Thank you, sir. So shall we go ahead with the next one, Janvi?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
So I've shared my screen.
Yeah, Anji, you need to bring up the screens. The slides are not visible as yet. Yeah, perfect. So this is a perfect topic that really will answer quite a few questions that people have asked on the chat. It's the attitude. And of course, these questions may not be answered directly, but indirectly, whatever you're going to hear now will be answering most of your questions. So go ahead, Anju.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Ma'am, the slide is not shown. The screen is not shown.
Okay.
Please share again.
Yeah. What about now?
No, ma'am, not able to.
Not yet. We just came and it disappeared.
Yes, yes, sir.
Not yet.
No?
Not yet. So while you're you can share your screen. It's still not yet coming. In the meantime, I'll take some questions. Somebody has asked how many hours is this session? This is supposed to go on till 7-ish.
8, I think. So 3-hour session.
3-hour session. Sorry, this will go on till 8. Break for 10 minutes. We've discussed the answers in the break time. OK. Janvi, have you taken a break till now? They want a break now. I've been seeing this.
Okay,
there
sir.
comes the screen. So what you can do is maybe run this after you complete this session. Before the next session, you can take a 10-minute break.
Yes, sir.
OK.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So here we were in this, that is, the topic is on attitude, and I'll be taking you through these aspects of attitude, namely the important what actually attitude is, then positive attitude, how to develop a positive attitude and become adaptable. So these days people say that, okay, there is nothing called as positive or negative attitude. There's something called the right and the wrong, right attitude, having the right attitude, they say. So it is like so I'm reminded of a quote here. The greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. So this quote is by William James. So the greatest, it says, I repeat that quote, the greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. So it, as I told you earlier, see, soft skill, nothing it's not something very huge or that is incomprehensible at all. It is something which rests upon ourselves. So through self-management, you will be able to improve your skills. That's the only thing. You become more confident. You'll be able to encounter the challenges of life. You become more responsible. You become more dependable through your ability to understand the self. So how well you manage yourself, that is what matters. You love somebody else. You love a pet. You have a pet. You love your brothers. You love your siblings. All those things. But why don't you love yourself? Why don't you like yourself? Find some time for yourself also. So when you try to when you try to love yourself, so you know what your strengths are. You like yourself. So whatever you try to accept your flaws. So you like yourself for what you are. So you don't complain yourself. You don't you will not have that grudge. So what is that you love in yourself most? When we ask that question, we do not have sometimes. What is one aspect of you which you like most about yourself? So if you're able to find one aspect, okay, why not make it 2 or 3 or like that? What is good in you? So when you start looking at the good in you and try developing yourself, you will learn, or you will imbibe, or things will come fall in place for you. That is what I'd like to say regarding. So again, attitude. So it is a critical factor for success. So okay, people say that even as teachers, we always used to complain. Okay, he has a bad attitude. That student is a person with attitude. So how can I change his attitude, or how can I change somebody's attitude? It's rather difficult. So, or exactly what exactly is this attitude to be changed? So it is then your attitude towards life. We've been hearing so many stories. So how does it affect your life? How does it affect? So attitude as such, the definition says a feeling or opinion about something or someone or a way of behaving that is caused by this. In other words, it's a behavior a person adopts towards other people, things, or even. So earlier also, while discussing on soft skills, I mentioned about your feelings, your behavior, and your attitude. So that reflects that rests upon us, not on somebody else. It is your feelings, it is your attitude, it is your behavior. Or when I am saying this, it is my attitude, or it is my behavior, or else my feelings. So there are two things worth mentioning here. The attitude, so it's like a feeling or opinion we have, and it is attitude that determines our behavior. So our attitude determines our behavior. And there is even a story, which is not a story, an example which says that if you count all the um, letters and give the numbers to these letters and count it, the total score will turn up to 100. Attitude. The word. So you give A1 and the letters, the individual numbers for these letters, you count the total comes up to 100. So that is the effect, or that is the impact that attitude has in our lives. So most of us, we are like our habit, or human beings are likely, or we are being conditioned to this kind of saying that okay, we are a frog in a well and we try to abuse one another. That is our nature. But here, let me focus on, as students, what is your attitude towards learning? Attitude is crucial, of course, crucial to learning. So learning, is it, so how do we learn? So you learn from books, you learn from experience, you learn from others. So each of these kind of learning, it requires a different kind of strategy. I do not know how many of that is you learn from you learn from books, you learn by doing projects, you learn by doing internships, you learn by talking to experienced people, listening to experienced people, and we develop that learning attitude. So people would have influenced you at a certain point of time in bringing about this learning also. And emotion, you need to understand that emotion is a critical factor in the development of attitudes. That plays a crucial role in the development of attitude. And it is these attitudes that shape our feelings. It shapes our feelings about events that happens in our lives. So many events happen in our lives. So the attitude or the feeling or opinion that we have about that event or about the people or the situation that shapes it. So when emotion accompanies an event time after time, it creates an attitude or feeling that may be intense and difficult to change. So your emotions, okay, I am watching movies. I like watching movies. I like playing video games. So there is an emotion attached to it. I like reading storybooks, or I like watching movies of one particular hero. Fine. So there is a kind of emotion which accompanies this event every time I do it, or time after time. And this creates an attitude or a feeling that becomes so intense that it's difficult to change. So your attitude towards learning, your attitude towards a person, your attitude towards eating food, your attitude towards watching, your attitude towards dressing, your attitude towards presenting ideas before others, your attitude towards talking or expressing your ideas before others, your attitude towards your eating habits, your attitude towards your care, personal care, your attitude towards self-management. So over a period of time, so when you start repeatedly doing this, or the emotion which accompanies with it brings along with it a kind of feeling which is very difficult, which becomes very intense. So this intense feeling can be sometimes turn out to be very good. Sometimes it may turn out to be very bad also. And that is, so our attitude, I would say, it's a part of our personality, and it becomes very difficult to change. This is what happens. So if you start changing the emotions, the way we start looking at things, the way we start looking understanding things, if we change our perspectives of looking at things, talking to people, understanding things, so you maybe over a period of time with experience, you realize that, okay, I have changed my understanding of this concept, or I have changed my understanding of this person. You would have disliked that person without any reason. But once you start interacting with that person, you realize that, okay, your attitude towards, or the emotions that you had, or the feelings towards that person that you had initially, and that was out of a perception which was not real. So it is a perception, means a feeling which you yourself had created, and which became so imprinted in you that it caused about a change of behavior. So that was an example which I just said. So over a period of time, you realize, after some time, you realize that, okay, your thoughts about that person was wrong. He turns out to be very good, or she turns out to be very good, and you start liking that person. So attitudes, so it can change. So understand that it changes also. So the challenge is to understand the relevance of the content of your learning in your day-to-day part of your job. As I told you, it is attitude mainly. I'll be focusing on attitude with respect to learning. So the challenge is, okay, what is in there for me? You look at, so earlier in the previous section also I mentioned. So what is the relevance of the content in the, so is it really required? So there was a question also. So if that is not related to you in any way, just ignore it. Just ignore it so that you overcome that situation. Another way is another challenge which we all face is, okay, there are some things when we learn, which you come to know or realize as you learn or you understand that, okay, I already know this, then why should I learn? I have these many degrees, and why should I learn? So the solution is, see, there may be things or there may be aspects which you know, and there may be aspects which you do not know. So look at those aspects which you do not know, or it is part of your new learning, and look at it in that way, so that you try to take it in, take it as a new learning. So the slide also says the power of positive thinking. So power of positive thinking, so that is thinking that everything is going to be right or it's for good. Or the we're thinking with the right mental frame. So that creates a positive attitude. And with positive attitude, we experience pleasant and happy feelings. Otherwise, what happens? It is capable of bringing about a ripple effect with whom we interact. It creates it creates a ripple effect. So people also will take us in that way only. Another challenge is, see, whenever we start learning something, we always we understand that, okay, there is no point, or there is no encouragement for me to apply whatever I have learned. Some students say that also once they pass out the course and say that, okay, whatever there is no, we've not been using whatever we have been learning in our classes. So whatever we have studied have been a waste. So it is your thought. So have you attempted any way by which you can incorporate your learning so that you come out with a good project? You come out with a good report. So it depends on how you encourage yourself. There will not be any, do not wait for external encouragement always. Nobody would come and encourage you always to find ways of applying. Teachers will guide you. But it depends on it depends on ourselves to find out ways by which we can identify and at the same time apply what we have learned. So nobody prevents you from doing that. So you've learned a lot of things. So why don't you use it without being said? So the attempt has to come from our own end. So the solution that helps us to reinforce what you have learned. For example, helping somebody else who doesn't know that, who doesn't have that understanding. So you maybe group learning or peer learning. Through that, okay, so if the teacher doesn't encourage you, why don't you do it? So you understand that a few of your friends or one or two of them are grappling in some concept. So why don't you take an initiative and reinforce whatever you have learned, so that so you learn, or you learn, or you have an encouragement to apply what you have learned. So that is one thing which you can do. Another way by which you can develop this positive thinking is by self-talk. So earlier also there was a question. So who mentioned that there's a lot of, that is, you talk a lot. Self-talk is a powerful tool to change negative thoughts into positive ones. So when you talk like that, okay, you realize, is it really important in your lives? Is it really, does it matter there? So it's actually the inner voice. A commentary. It's like a commentary. So even when I am talking to you, or even when you're seated there are a lot of thoughts going on in your mind, which you do not have control of at all, even while you're listening or hearing the other person speak. So it's like a running commentary in the back of your mind. So what is required? So you have the ability, or you have the power to censor your thoughts. So if you feel that those thoughts are affecting you, if you feel that those are negative thoughts which are pulling down you, or which is really eating out your confidence, check that. censor that. I cannot do anything from outside. I can only say that, okay, control your thoughts. But who is in charge of it? You are in charge of it. So right now you are in a position to understand the right and wrong, right? You're not a small kid. So as you are in a position to understand what is right and wrong, you can put a barrier to what you are thinking. So if it is negative, if it is something not required, okay, I am in the class, let me listen to it. Or I am listening to the music, let me be fully immersed in that. Let not other thoughts disturb me. Or if it is something right, okay, you can think about it. Or if it is about another person, if you're thinking ill about the other person, why should you waste your time like that, energy, mental energy like that? So put an end to that, put a control to that. You can control because your mind is capable of that. So when you start working on your mind like that, when you start training your mind like that, you will be in a position to control your voice. You will be in a position to control your thoughts. And the right kind of thoughts leads you to right actions. Right actions lead you to the right behavior. And right behavior, okay, right action, right thought, right action, right character, and right behavior. That would be the outcome of it. And the next thing about attitude is attitude always carries an image also with it. So what kind of image? So people are drawn very closely to people who signal this or who carry this positive attitude. A person who is very vibrant, person who smiles, person is always happy, cheerful, person who talks about good. So imagine I come and talk before you, and I am talking about all the aspects of soft skills I talk to you about. But at the same time, I on the other side, if I carry myself without a smile, if I do not use open gestures, if I am not engaged in what I am saying, how would you feel? You'll be able to make out, right? So when I am with the audience, I'll be able to speak to you in a natural tone. I'll be able to speak to you. I understand my audience, and I'll be able to speak to you in a way that you understand what I am saying. And at the same time, you will be able to understand the negative also, negative thoughts also. So it is something contagious. So you are drawn or you are attracted to people uh, whom, whom that is people who are able to uh, reverberate positive notions or reverberate positive signals or send positive signals. Sometime so you may you may at the same time you dislike people also who carry a negative image. So it helps us to be attractive, and sometimes it helps us to be repulsive also. So if you are in a position, so if your thoughts are good, if your character is good, if your behavior is good, your actions are good, or right, you have the right frame of mind, you can draw people towards you. You have a charisma around you. You tend to be attractive. But at the same time, if you are on the other way, you talk negative or you dislike people, you're not engaged, what happens is you have you carry a repulsive image. So there you do not tend to attract people. You in fact people that is they are repulsed from you. So the image that you have always matters. The image of the friends, co-workers, the associates, people whom you associate with you, all that is you are projecting the image. So as you project an image, it is the projection of the image that they have in their mind about you. Okay, when I say Anju, okay, I have spoken to you. So what is the image about me that you have? You haven't seen me, right? But what is the image that I project before you? What is the image that you project about yourself towards me? So it's a projection of your attitude. The image that I have about you is a projection of your attitude. So remember this. So it is very critical. Or so, for example, so this applies a lot during your interviews when you interact with your employers for a job. So we have a session on interview also. So there these aspects will be. So even so, just imagine an interview of 10 to 15 minutes is not able to judge a person, but how will an employer decide on your decision, decide on recruiting you? So it's because of the attitude. Of course, they will count on your answers also, but apart from the answers that you give, it is the attitude that you display during your during your interview for a matter of 10 to 15 minutes or 20 minutes or more, with the attitude that you display through your words, that you display through your eyes, that you display through your face, how well you can listen, how well you try to understand, how well you try to sit straight, how well you project that you are ready for action, how well you project that you are a dependable person, how well you project that you can shoulder your responsibilities. So all these are reflections of your inner thoughts, inner feelings, which get manifested in your personality or external personality through your body language, through your expressions. You sit there and yawn, for example. Sometimes you may not hear the question properly. So if you don't hear a question properly, you can say, okay, sorry, sir, I didn't, could you please repeat the question? That is fine. But if you keep on repeating that, will they like it? So it's a reflection of your attitude that shows that you are not focused. You're not listening to what they are saying. You're not keen. You're not interested. That is what your attitude conveys. You're fidgeting something with your hand, you're tapping your feet, you're shaking your feet, everything, all this is a communication way of communicating that you are not interested. Then how do you expect them to give a job? Or it shows that you are nervous. How do you expect the employer to give you a job? You are not focused in your answers. You are not sincere in your answers. You have a firm body language. You don't smile. You don't look into the eyes of the speaker. You look downwards. You look at the ceiling. You look outwards. All these are reflections. I would say it's definitely so. You with the other person, the person on the other side will be able to understand what your feelings are, what your thought processes are, and then they make the decision. That was only an example which I mentioned. So there is a lot to all these things. So then, so it is we were discussing on individual attitude. So it is the same individual, a person with a good a person with the right attitude or the right mental frame can spark a change in a group of individuals. A person who is capable, a good leader, a leader who is able to spark or bring about a change in other persons or other individuals. So your individual attitude is capable of changing the attitude of others or or it can bring about a spark so that people will remember you. They like you for your attitude. So attitudes are catching. I don't have to give you the examples of many people around us. So that's the leaders. A leader does that. That's the initiative of the leader. So that the power of that leader or the power of that person. So he may not be a leader even, See, your mother at home may not be learned. A mother she may not know everything, but she is capable of initiating changes in the house or in the home with her own behavior, initiating changes in all the members of your family. How? You respect her, you obey her. Why? Because she has the attitude which is really catching. Take, for example, a sport, cricket or football or kho, whatever be it. So it is the how do you generate that team spirit? So it is the spirit that the leader or other members are able to convey to others or spread to or radiate to others, which is capable of bringing out a high morale, which reflects in the performance of the team, or which becomes very effective. As a result, it results in performance. So when you have the right frame of mind and do things accordingly, according to your feelings, beliefs, and the outcome is very good. And sometimes the outcome you may encounter failure also. So when you encounter failure, you may not be surprised with your failure. So you may not be depressed by your failure because you have understood that, okay, it doesn't affect your attitude at all. That kind of failure doesn't affect. You have only learned from your failures. You have only learned more from your failure. So what we can do to change, there are many ways by which, so one method is, okay, changing your, that is the power of self-talk. Then positive self-talk is having an optimistic voice in your head. So looking at the brighter aspects of life, that brings about a change in confidence. Positive self-talk every day. So for example, practicing yoga or meditation, or sharing your feeling, chatting with your friends, being with nature, spending a time on reading or listening to music, understanding what others are trying to say instead of that is curbing your negative thoughts or emotions and trying to understand what the other person is saying. So every hour, or that is that positive self-talk every day, that helps you to a large extent. Then wiping out your negative self-thought, I told you, so controlling your negative self-thought or completely wiping it out, that enables you to develop your right frame of mind or a positive attitude. Self-esteem, I told you, the esteem, the respect that you have for yourself, the respect that you give for yourself. Are you torturing your body? Okay, you know that to what extent your body can perform, your level, your ability. So your self-esteem, the ability that you have or the respect that you have for yourself. So it is the way we think and feel about ourselves. So that reflects our confidence, worthiness, then the ability, your worthiness for good, to understand what is good in others. People with high self-esteem feel good about themselves. So this enables them to defeat the negative thoughts. So whatever you have in negative, or if you're able to realize that, okay, this is not good or that is not required, you try to negate it or you try to move away from it. Then apart from learning, it is important in the workplace also. So it decides upon your career. So the right kind of attitudes. So people these days, or in organizations, what they do is students or candidates are being hired for their attitude, and they are trained on their skills. So you're being hired not on for your knowledge. So you will be hired. Remember, you will be hired for your you will be hired for your attitude, and you'll be given training on your skills. So when you're working together, so in organizations, it is not silos. You will have to communicate freely. There is a hierarchy. You will have to follow the hierarchy. So you cannot say that I do not like him, I do not like her, or she is younger to me, but she is my boss. You cannot say that. So in workplace, when you start working together, it is important or essential. Attitudes are important to accept a better idea, accept criticism. So people sometimes initially they may give a feedback, and later it will be harsh criticism. So how will you accept the criticism? How will you ignore the criticism? Unlearning and relearning, I told you earlier also. Or in another word, being a continuous learner. Okay, I learned these many years, I got a degree, I got a job. Okay, now my learning is over. No, unless and until you learn, you are a continuous learner, you will not be able to survive in the workplace also. And there was another question out of moving out of comfort zone. So every time the companies come to the institutes for placement, they ask, okay, they mention about this huge package that they are offering. At the same time, they might mention about the location also. So students often say that, okay, my mother will not let me work outside, or my father does not let me work outside. Or maybe you are seated in a place and somebody walks in. Will you move out of your place and give place for that person? No. That is simple moving out of comfort zone. So that is not remaining in the place for long. Remember, wherever we are in, it's only for a short time. So be willing to move from that place, or be willing to move from your comfort zone and try to adapt very quickly. So of course we need to adapt, but how quickly we adapt matters a lot. And that uh, the fast pace by which we adapt depends upon the attitude. So if I am always eating my mind saying that, okay, this will not happen, this is not good, this is not right, this will not change, all these things, what happens is I'm not willing that it will be very difficult for me to change, or bring about the change in me, or I'll find it very difficult to adapt myself. So ultimately, what matters here is changing. So adaptability, as I told you, is one's approach to change, one's willingness to change. So it is crucial for individuals as well as organizations. One example, so individuals, if I don't change, if I am not updated with what is happening in the workplace, if I am not updated with the trends in speaking or communication, I may not be able to change. So continuous updations, continuous learning is important. So many organizations also have changed. So we do not, the Kodak, for example, is a name. We don't have the Walkman. We don't have the what do you call these photographic films, Kodak films, which were once famous. It no longer exists. So those companies which were able to or unable to change from their side, or unable to adapt themselves to the changes, they were forgotten, or they have been moved out of limelight. So they have perished. Even animals, for example, those animals, as part of evolution, we human beings are changing, animals are changing, we are adapting. So if we are not in a position to change, we will also, a day will come when we'll also become extinct. So we have features, so we have brains which have been, so we are, that is, which is really adapting to the changes in the environment, the changes in the different or the new lifestyles we are living in. So small babies or small infants, if you know them, so they are very good in handling these gadgets. They know when to play a song, they know when to press a number. They'll identify your voice very easily because they are very good at adapting to these kind of changes. So organizations, as they change, it is necessary that individuals also change. So if when you start working also, if individuals are not in a position to change, you will not be in a you will not stay in the organization for long. So growth will not be possible. Progress will not be possible. So adaptability helps us in seizing opportunities. So those who are good in adapting, they seize the opportunities by taking up multiple tasks, managing multiple assignments, setting priorities, and making changes in our attitude to merge with the new culture around us. So 4-step method to build flexibility in approaches. Look around, and so moving out of your comfort zone. So it is not that, see, even when we are struck, the entire world was struck with pandemic, we survived. We have that longing list to learn. We become resilient. We have started, that is, earlier we used to be very close to each other. Now that now we have been restricted in our own homes or our own families. We have started wearing masks. We have started using sanitizers. We have been keeping social distancing. All this is okay. When the need of the hour arises, okay, we felt that there is a need, and due to that need, we started changing ourselves. We started moving out of our comfort zones. Another way is by obtaining enriching feedback. So if you want to improve, you seek for feedback also. You talk to people and ask for feedback. Be willing to learn, be a continuous learner, ask for help, and start doing things in a different way. It's not the old, it's not the same way of doing things. Start doing things in a new way. Then stay away. Another thing is stay away from negative influences. There may be people around you, there may be situations around you who prompt you or who pull you down to negative things or who compel you to do negative things. So stay away from those kind of negative impulses or negative influences. Start doing something something positive. So I'll try to, I'm reminded of a story here. So here there were 3 masons. I do not know, you would have heard the story, but still I felt I should be telling this to you. There were 3 masons, and each of them, they were doing the same work. Masons, they do the same work, right? So a passerby asked the question to them, the same question to them, to the 3 of them, to which the first person, okay, the question was, what are you doing? So the first person said, I am laying bricks. I want to make money of it so that I can feed my family. The second person, the mason, the philosopher asked the passerby asked the second person also, the second mason also the same question. Okay, what are you doing? So he said, I am building a wall so that I can earn money, I can feed my family and save it for the difficult times. And the third person was also asked the same question, what are you doing? For which he answered, I am building a cathedral. The cathedral will not be, the work will not be over with this generation. My son will carry on with my work, and this will be remembered by the future generation. So people will come from different places to this cathedral, and they will worship in this cathedral, so that it will be, they will use this cathedral and it will be remembered by the future generation. So that's the way. So we all do the same thing, but how we look at it matters a lot. So what is the difference that we are bringing about in our work matters a lot. So you can change your attitude by putting the things in the right place. This is the basic. By putting the right things in the right place. So you have a jar with you. So if I ask you to fill the jar with sand, water, and then pebbles. So first take you you fill the jar with sand, fill the jar with water, and then again I ask you to fill the jar with pebbles. There will not be any space left for pebbles in the jar. Whereas if you put the pebbles first, then you have space for the sand. Then you have space for, or the jar will hold water also, and the jar becomes full. So that is the attitude that you have. So putting the right things first, by putting the right things first, there'll be space for everything and learning will also happen. So that is the importance of attitude in our lives. It helps, it is very crucial in our workplace. It is crucial for your learning. It is contagious also. It is infectious also, you can say. Employers also look for people who are very good attitude. So you'll be that is you will be heavily weighed based on your character, your ability, all these aspects. So you should be able to demonstrate this attitude right from the beginning. So it is not the grades. You cannot say that every time. You cannot say that I am a distinction, I hold a distinction, or I am a master's in. But you can say that, or you can display your attitude, and you can be unique in your workplace. You can demonstrate your attitude, and you'll be appreciated in your workplace, because that is what organizations look for. So in today's world, what they look for, that is, as I told you, they train you for your attitude, that is, hire you for your attitude and train you for your skill. And if you're a fresher, it is expected that you have to display that, or you have to exhibit attitude required to create a successful working environment also. So demonstrate your ability to complete the projects or whatever tasks you have in hand, and demonstrate your commitment in the workplace. So with this, I conclude.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anju ma'am. It was really valuable.
It extended for 10 more minutes. I'm sorry about that, but I wanted to, there are a lot of things which I wanted to convey, but still I felt that, okay, I could convey the important points which were given to me.
Yes, sure, ma'am.
Yes.
And thank you so much for this session.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Now we will be having a break of 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, we will be resuming with the session. Thank you. Back now, and with the session. Good evening, Rakhi ma'am.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Just a brief introduction I will give it about you.
Certainly.
Yeah. Rakhi ma'am is an industrialist, psychologist, and behavioral coach. And she is also into design and thinking. She is also a design and thinking practitioner and a facilitator with 27 years of experience in organizational transformation, performance management, and building and engaging individuals and train teams to produce better business results. She is also engaged with various education institutions, colleges as an educator, as career mentor, and a career transitioner, and has helped more than 1,000 students to get placed and choose their right career. She has delivered more than 3,000 sessions and touched the hearts of over 3 lakh participants. And there are many more to go. Thank you so much, ma'am, and welcome to this session.
Thank you, Janvi. Thank you so much for setting the tone for today evening. I'm sure that after the 2 sessions, they're all lightened up, right, friends? I'm sure about it. So without wasting time, because it is all about time management. So I welcome all of you to this wonderful session on time management. I would want you to actually lend your ears, eyes, and your mind for this particular sessions. I hope my screen is visible to all of you as well. Okay, fine. So what comes into your mind when I say time management? Is it that we can manage the time? Or is it that we manage the activities inside that? What is that we do? And why it is considered to be as a skill, and why it is significant to have managing time or be your own time manager, how it is going to help you in your future, in your employability, or not only that, but as a person, how it can make a difference in your life. If you take the count of the legends in this world, you will certainly find out that those people who have really made a difference, they are good time managers. Or perhaps I would say they always had a vision, a mission, and values and goals in their life. So what is that we are going to cover today in this small session? So let's look into that. In this unit, we are certainly going to speak about why it is important to manage time, all right? And what are the different types of techniques of prioritizing? Yes, I would want to use that word, prioritizing your activities. As we rightly said, we cannot manage the time. Everyone has got 24 hours, right? However, how we can manage the activities that we do on a day-to-day basis will certainly produce the result. Now, think about a day when you wake up. How much time that you really take for your daily chores? Imagine. And also imagine that how much time that we are really productive within that and how much time we perhaps waste. So that will give you an understanding about the technique that we need to use, how to prioritize each activities. So I'm sure that you have experienced certain days that you feel really productive. So that will stand like, for that matter, my son, today he was telling me he's very productive. You know why? Because he woke up in the morning, 5 o'clock, he did his daily chores. He went to the gym, 5:30, okay, during this pandemic time, went to the gym, came back, he took his shower, he attended a meeting at 7:30 in the morning. Then he had this meeting till 9:30. He took a quick power nap for half an hour. Then he was ready for his office or probably work from home at 10 o'clock. And today evening, even at 5:30, 6 o'clock, he is still energetic. And he told me, Mama, I am feeling very good because I'm productive today, because I prioritize the activities in that. So that is the power of, if we can manage our activities on a day-to-day basis, you still feel energetic at the end of the day when you're productive. Now, we are actually going to look into certain strategies that we can use to effectively manage our time. So when I say that, okay, I remember when we were kids, we used to write the timetable. Remember the timetable that we write, correct? So we used to write the timetable. However, we didn't know sometimes how to manage all these things within that. And by half day, we forget and we don't follow it also. So that is because I feel now that I didn't know certain techniques and strategies that I can use to manage our time. So that is what we are going to discuss today. So having said about the units that we are going to discuss allow me to move on to know more about it. Absolutely right. I love this point where we need to have a balance in our life, right? Whether it is work or your life. Yes, I agree with all of you when you say that currently we work from home and we do the home work at home. So everything is happening there. But how you normally split it? So that is what the techniques can help you to do that also. See, for example, if I'm working from home, I would want all my family members to know that I am working. Okay, I keep that communication open so that I can also peacefully work and I allow others also to work as well. Now, what is time management? It is, as we already said, the only thing is that any other skill, if you really look into, you can actually take help from people. If you take any other skills for that matter, you can learn a lot from other people. However, when it comes to time management, it is more of a self-discipline thing. We need to have that feeling in our mind that I wanted to manage my time. It's a more of self-management techniques. Okay. And we don't keep a track of it. Imagine a day where you are so excited about it. Your friend is getting married, or something great is happening, or you have a football match to watch. And I'm sure that you know how to prioritize your time, isn't it, friends? So it is about the activities that we normally time it, that is also a self-management techniques. And it helps everyone to plan their work, okay, and also find time for the leisure. So how you, because for you, watching a match is important. So we finish all the work before that so that you're ready for that, because we want to have a balance in our life, right? Now, when it comes to work, in fact, how there is always an individual performance review, as we all know that, right? Now, how you normally differentiate people, I have heard it n number of times with my experiences that he or she very disciplined. And what is discipline associated with? Directly associated with how you manage your time, how your productivity, your effectiveness, your efficiency, and on time processing things. And it definitely helped the organization also to achieve its goals. Now, in fact, it is actually not only about managing your time, it is also about completing the tasks on time as well. And also with quality work. How many of us actually really review the work that we do? Can we do it better? Can I use different resources to lessen the time and also to increase the effectiveness? Whether it is our studies, whether it is our work, or am I following the same methodology from day one? Have I tried to use some resources? So this kinds of review needs to be done, because if you really look into when it comes to working or employability, there are smart workers and hard workers. You might have heard about it, right? Now, what the hard workers do, they work full day, but the productivity and the effectiveness would not be that great. Whereas the smart workers, they will certainly plan everything in advance, and they probably will be able to finish their work half of the time, but the effectiveness will be good. Ask me why? Because they know who to contact, they know who can help them, they exactly know what are the type of tools that they can use to make their life better. Friends, I'm sure you will agree with me. There are n number of apps that is there inbuilt in our mobile, which we don't use at all. What if I tell you these apps are made to make our life easy or make us more productive and effective? But how much applications that we really use to make our job productive and effective? Okay. Now, yes, of course, it's a value system that we involve the commitment of the individual to a much more disciplined way of life, actually. So there are people who have created that value system of doing everything on time in a disciplinary way. And friends, you know one thing, 25%, this is a research that has been conducted by Prezi, okay? They say 25% of our time on a daily basis is actually invested on looking for informations. That means per day, we invest almost 2.5 hours to actually look for information or search for informations or look for anything for that. Okay, now another thing which I wanted to tell you is that again, they have done a survey that they found that we normally invest 2.5 days in a year looking for lost and found things. Now that means 6 months in a span of lifetime of 77 years. So it's basically a disciplined way of life pattern that you can bring in if you are good at managing our time. Now, of course, the villain in this role is none other than the time stressors and your time stealers. If I ask you, if you really open your mobile, you probably open your mobile in the morning just to see one message or, just looking for something in particular. But have we ever able to come out of that mobile within the stipulated time that you have thought about? You probably thought of, okay, I'll just spend about 2 minutes, but do you ever it happened that within 2 minutes you are able to come out of that? Now imagine how much of screen time that we have per day. It might be helpful, I'm not saying that, but most of the times some things are time stealers also. Okay, so there are, one thing what I wanted to tell you, stress is actually correlated with the time. Let me tell you that. Okay, see, for example, any pressure or the stress that we have, that's on one side. And if the resources are less to that, certainly it will lead to stress. Okay, that means you are pressurized on one end because you don't have the enough resources. And one important resource is time. You are loaded with lot of work in front of you or what you wanted to study, but you don't have time, don't know how to complete that, and it leads to stress. So why this happen? So you could have heard your parents telling you why you didn't plan it earlier, why you are studying last minute, right? Okay, so this is actually when you have a lot to do and very little time, so that automatically you get stressed. So in order to, one of the aspect that the researchers say that we can actually look into multitasking wherever possible, delegate, all right, and also take necessary help so that at the end of the day, you can accomplish all your goals. So let me take 2 minutes there to explain it better. So when it comes to multitasking, what I would strongly suggest all of you is that whenever you're doing anything for the first time, please don't do anything else. That means no multitasking, because you need your left brain and your right brain because you are learning something very new. So that time, I would not recommend you to do multitask. However, once you are actually get used to something, have you seen your mother cooking 4 dishes at the same time in the burner? I'm sure that you would have seen that. So she's multitasking there, correct? Right? And it has been said by the research that ladies can do 8 things at a time, whereas men can do 6 things at a time. And don't ask me why, okay? This is what the research says. So of course, we all can multitask. But my only suggestion to all of you, if you are used to, then you don't need your brain for that matter. You really don't need. It's like how you drive your car or your cycle or a scooter or something. The initial days, you need to have attention with all your organs. But after sometimes the body is conditioned with that. So that is where you can actually do multitasking. Okay, you can do two things at the same time. But if it is something important, I don't want you to get into that habit. All right. Now, the delegation is predominantly considered to be a hallmark of time management because we have a habit of doing nice things again and again and again. All right. But you don't want to get rid of something. But friends, if I ask you, only if you get rid of those things that is there in your plate, you can learn something new, isn't it? Okay, so that is the power of delegation. So try to do that. But initially, when you start working, you will be delegated, but you might not be able to delegate. So you need to be a little patient with your activities that you do. Now, taking help is something which I would always insist on that. Okay, we don't have the habit of asking for help. We think asking for help is something make you feel that you're not good at doing something, but ask. But however, try all the possible ways that you can and then ask for help so that we are able to accomplish. Simple example, if you are finding difficult in learning something, instead of investing about half an hour, 45 minutes into it, still not getting into your head, I would want you to ask a person, a friend of yours, to make you learn that. I remember my son was telling me, one of his friend, when I talked to him for 15 minutes, I'm sure that I'll be able to answer at least 15 marks question. So look for your friends around who can help you to make your job easier so that you can accomplish your goal. So you feel productive also. And of course, the time stealers are called as the time wasters. And they are the activities or the tasks that draw your attention away from more important work in hand. So basically, sometimes I have a habit when I'm really stressed or when I finish some work, I get into play Candy Crush sometimes. But I get carried away a little bit. But then I don't understand that it is actually not only taking my time, but my energy is also getting deteriorated. At this age, yes, I can control myself. But sometimes when we are children or when we are at your teenage or your adolescence, you probably might not think about that, right? So you get carried away with the work and we don't have the energy to do the important work. So the best way to tackle this is to prioritize your important work and try to minimize it. So what I do is that right now I keep my mobile on top of my fridge, where I certainly need to extend my hands, go there, it's in the kitchen, to take up my mobile. So that actually is one type of methodology that I do, because otherwise, if I have my mobile next to me, that's going to be a time stealer. Anyway, I'm not going to answer the calls because I'm attending the session, because which is important for me right now, correct? If I'm doing any work, this is what I do. So hopefully this will also be helpful to all of you. Now, I'm going to introduce you a nice concept called time management metrics. And this one is coined by none other than the Stephen Covey, who is actually considered as the management consultant. I am a great fan of him, all his books also. And this is something that has been there coined since many years, my dear friends, but still everybody finds it so useful. So what I'm trying to say here is that on a day-to-day basis, we need to, any task that you take up, okay, any activity that you take up, we need to be able to put it in these 4 columns. Even though you don't write it, but please get it into your head. Okay, so this task of writing, which quadrant it falls into. So what is this quadrant which I'm talking about? What is this time management matrix? This time management matrix has called 4 quadrants, as you can see there. Okay, the first quadrant is called as urgent important tasks. I also call it as the firefighters or the critical tasks as well. Okay, so which you think has to be completed now. If it is not completed, then we need to face something bad. So like, for example, the day before of your exams, any crisis, any pressing problems that you have, any deadline driven, so that is all fall there. So any task that you do, immediately think about it. All right. Now the second one is, it is important. All right, but it is not very urgent. However, I play, as a facilitator or as an educator, I give a lot of importance to that second column than the first column. You know why? Because that is all about planning. Imagine today, if I have not planned and tried to log in and all that stuff, yesterday itself. Yesterday, it was not urgent, right? Try to logging in, do a dry run. It was not important. It was not urgent, but it is important because today I've got the session. So if I have not done it, then last minute, if I do all these rush, maybe I will not be able to produce the best results. So I'm just giving an example. Now think about activities where you tend to postpone it. Okay, last minute, procrastination. However, if you don't give enough time, like simple example, whatever that you have been told to study on a day-to-day basis. But once we get into the college, we hardly do that. We hardly have that habit. We keep everything for the last minute. So what happens? Last minutes, it becomes very urgent and important. So maybe you might not get the same result as you had expected or as you wanted. That is because you compromised on the second one. So there it requires where you wanted to do any higher studies or you wanted to do some online courses, or when it comes to employability, you're looking for a promotion, but that requires a lot of your time learning something, activities, making good relationship, so which we all postpone, right? So think about it, and I would recommend you to invest at least 20% of your time there, because then you will be able to produce quality result on the urgent important. Coming to the third one is where the activities, okay, where it is certainly not important, but it is urgent. But let me tell you something. It is probably not important for you, but it is urgent for other people. This is like, for example, if somebody is asking you for help, whereas you are doing something important, okay, and you are already into it, and somebody is asking to come and to help out, So basically you have two choices there. Either you can say no, I'm sorry, I'm getting into this, or you can take up. Now, if you do take up where you know very well that you are also doing something very urgent, now you can imagine what will happen to your job, right? Now, also what I wanted to understand here is where the delegation comes or taking help comes. It might be urgent, but it might be somebody else's deadline. All right. So some of the meetings that is going to come in your future, not necessarily that you have to attend all the meetings. Okay. You can even ask for some, what do you say, output of that or feedback on that. Okay, not that I'm not able to attend all the meetings for that matter. I sometimes have to say a no. So here it is sometimes good to learn to say no also for certain things. But think about it. If you can do it, please go ahead. But if not, you probably will have to delay it or delegate it or tell them, sorry, I cannot do that. Okay. Now, the fourth one is something that we should be completely avoiding. As we rightly said, the trivial things like watching television. I'm not saying that it's not bad. Okay, you need to watch movies and all that stuff, but getting carried away, one movie, second movie, third movie, that is something that we need to really look into. And always ensure that you don't use your screen, your mobile, at least half an hour before you go to sleep, my dear friends, because this is what my yoga teacher told me, because it's not good for you. Right, so take care of your health for that matter. Listen to music, there's no harm in that, but watching something television and then straight away getting into the bed is not something really good. So I believe that you have understood this time management matrix. So any activity that you are into, please look into this and think about it. Okay, which activity is that and which is urgent for me, which is important for me? What if I don't look into this, if I don't plan this, whether it's become urgent, will I be able to produce the results towards that? And if somebody comes and asks you for help, or probably, certain things that you probably think, okay, you probably wasted a lot of time in researching something which was actually urgent for you, but it is not very important also. Okay, so some things which we can delegate, other people's activities. So these things that we need to look into, and the one that we can get rid of it also. Now, let me just try to share another screen, friends. So just allow me to share that. Just a moment. I'm just looking where I can share it. Okay, I found it. Is my screen visible? If somebody can just tell me, it would be wonderful.
Yes, ma'am, visible.
Okay, lovely, lovely. Okay, so if you can see here, this is how you can ask certain questions to yourself, all right, when you are creating. So I would want you to actually start writing, my dear friends, because we think that everything is there in our head, and this brain is definitely your good friend, but probably it will ditch you at the right time. So it's always good. This is what my mentor told me. Always good to write your to-do list. Whatever that you wanted to remember at a later point of time, write it down. If you see my desk, you will see so many papers which has got to-do list every day. First thing in the morning, maybe sometimes before brushing the teeth, because my husband is in the room, bathroom, then the first thing I do is my to-do list, because I've got into that practice. Okay, so this is, again, if you can write, this hand has got a direct connection with the brain. That becomes a habit to you. So I would want you to actually get into a habit of actually writing, because that's like a promissory note for yourself, so start getting into that practice. So ask yourself when it comes to, so prepare that current to-do list for the next 1 week. Okay, and what you do is that classify your work into the various boxes, as we just mentioned. And in which quadrant do you find most of this activity failing? And I'm telling you, I can vouch on one thing. Initially, everything will be on the planning stage. Okay. Why I'm telling you? Because I don't want you to make the same mistake that I did actually. So don't look into that quadrant again and again, because most of the time, if you see this second quadrant, we will see automatically things will fall into the quadrant number 1, because it has become urgent, because you didn't plan very well, you didn't strike it off. Okay, so which quadrant do you think that you should focus on the most for your own personal growth and professional growth? So that is nothing but your quadrant 2. Okay, so ask yourself, how can we get more time for the activities in the quadrant 2? So that is the only thing which will help you to personally grow. So I believe that it is clear to all of you. Now going back to our the same presentation. So allow me to present that. Okay, wonderful. So if that is clear, let's move on to the strategies for effective time management. I'll take around 5 minutes here, friends. Remember, I was telling you that I was not aware of the strategies in order to ensure that I achieve goals. All right, so let's look into that, what all that we can do to make our time effective and manage it effectively as well, or productively. So always have a daily planner. And nowadays, that there are a lot of apps that you can use wherein you can plan your day. My children does it actually. So that's something that you can do, or you even have a manual planner also. But my only point is that have it with you. Okay, start planning things in ahead so that you don't look stupid when you're maybe it'll happen. I have seen many people, oh, I forgot. Do you want that to happen to you, friends? If not, please, okay, plan your day accordingly. And at least if you are able to finish 5 tasks out of 8 the tasks, you can sleep over with that feeling, oh, at least I covered 5 things. And that is the only thing which will make you feel good and productive, and you'll get a good sleep also. But if you don't finish your work, the whole night you will have this in mind, you will not get a deep sleep. I'm sure that you will agree with me. Now, this is second thing, is declutter your workstation. Now, if I ask you to take a picture of your workstation or your table and send it to me, would you do it immediately? You will think 2 times, because you can see sometimes a lot of mess around. And if as a manager or as someone senior to you asking for a particular file, you probably at least invest 5 minutes to find it out sometimes. Right, friends? So, but I can send you a picture and, I can take a picture and send mine, because I'm 100% sure that I'm very much organized. My workstation, I know exactly what is sitting where, and I learned it from my dad. I remember, I don't have my dad now, but I remember when I was young, because that time, we lived in Chennai, so there was no electricity. Sometimes, the power cut and all that. But I remember him. I will not forget that. Okay, I was only 9 years old. So he called and said, okay, that time we had this land phones, So he called and told, listen, I want you to find out something for me, look for me. And I said, where is it? It is very dark here. He said, take a candle and go to this particular drawer, and it is on the 6th rack. Okay, and it is the second item that I will find. I was surprised. Imagine the way of organized way he is. He knows everything where it is in your workstation. Friends, isn't that interesting? How many of you can say that? And this is all directly connected with how disciplined we are. You probably would have got either a complimentary or a punishment from your teachers for not being organized, or not being clean, or whatever it is, right? Now, use your smart filing methods. Now, as a cost accountant, this is predominantly something that we need to do. Your filing methodology should be accurate and prompt, because you are dealing with your client's files, my dear friends, whether it is a soft copy or a hard copy, because certain things has to be, confidential also. So that filing method is a smart way of doing it. We need to learn a lot about that, right? Now, again, your contact list systematically. So that's again something, whether it is regarding your client or your personal or anything that you have in your system, something that we need to systematically organize. Okay, so if somebody asks for a number, as we all save, how we save the numbers, home 1, home 2, home 3, home 4, right? This is how you say, and we don't know which is the number, which one that you save for the other person. So there should be a nice way of organizing these things, whether it is a contact list of the clients. We should be able to find it out soon if somebody asks for it. That's something that we need to learn. Now, I love this second last one, declutter your inbox regularly. Now, if I ask you, look at your inbox, whether it is your personal or this thing, how many spam mails or promotion mails are still lying in the inbox? I mean, I confess, I also do have, by the way, okay. But I have seen one of my friend who is actually, at the end of the day, she takes that 10 minutes extra to delete all the WhatsApp messages that is irrelevant, and also the mails. Can you believe it? All right. So there are people who does it. So and not only that, what I have noticed that she exactly know even the timing what has fallen in her inbox, and her inbox is so clean. Her folders are very well organized. She know exactly which file to be retrieved at what point of time, who to give. I mean, so beautifully organized, and I love those kinds of people. Now, again, the last one, as again our profession demands for it. Okay. We need to download and save the important attachments promptly and carefully. So what I have noticed is that a number of times when you are attaching anything or when you are saving something, we probably might not rename it. Because if you rename to something that is familiar or that is aligned with that document and put it in that folder, it will be easy for you to actually identify it at a later point of time. Okay, because you'll only remember, yes, I downloaded it, but I don't remember the name of that file and where I saved it, I don't know. So if you wanted to look for it, even if you have to search for it, don't you think that will be easy if you can download it and promptly attach it in such a way, friends? Okay, so these are the strategies I'm sure that it will help you out to mostly effectively, manage your time as well. Now, moving on, few more things which I'd like to mention is, yes, arrange your workspace well to save on time. So which we already mentioned about it, keeping it clean without any clutters, right? And learn to multitask effectively, which we already spoke about it. And yes, avoid taking too many breaks in between while we are working. Okay, one time will be loo break, one time would be coffee break, and one time will be private call break. Okay, and when we go for a meeting, by the time we come back, everybody would have been there in the seat, but you will take another 10 more minutes. There's no harm in chatting and all that stuff, but still, I'm telling you, you should be mindful about what you're doing at what particular time. So if you have that, then you can actually finish your work on time. Okay, and I've seen many people staying back after the work, showing that, showing off that, okay, I'm a very hard worker. All the other times they might be walking around, but when it comes to leave, that is the time they might be working. But I'm telling you, they will not be productive. You know the reason? Because they don't have the energy. And energy has got a lot to do with your time, my dear friends. Imagine that you wanted to do something in the morning and you got busy with something, and after some time you will realize that you don't have the energy to do that work. I'm sure everybody sitting here would have experienced that. And of course, I love this one. Keep your telephone calls short and to the point. Friends, how many times that we have faced where somebody called you and for reasons you're not able to hang the phone? You take 10 minutes and it goes on half an hour, and especially when it is our close friends or family in your age, mainly it's the friends. So you keep on calling. How many of us have got the liberty or the audacity to say that, okay, friend, I need to get into this. We have been talking for the past 20 minutes now. So let's get out of it and then let's get into our work. So something that we need to be mindful about, especially tomorrow with the clients and all that, you need not be wasting so much of time over the telephone. Okay. Now, don't blame the other person for that. Okay, you also play a pivotal role there. And of course, set up reminders to avoid missing deadline and meeting. And maybe right now you might not know the intensity of this particular point, friends, but I know n number of times that people, avoid or probably miss out on the deadlines. How many times that we have forgotten to wake up in the morning, our alarm didn't work. Now imagine the meetings deadlines in the future. If you miss it out, you certainly will look like, a stupid person in front of other people. So that's something that we need to really look into. This productivity pyramid is nothing but setting your goals. But this is like a step-by-step, 4-step action that we all can take to ensure that we are productive, to ensure that we are progressing. After talking about strategy, so you can also incorporate this model, okay, to make it happen. So what is it all about? So mainly this pyramid is used by organizations to evaluate how productive they are as an organization is concerned. Okay, whether they are able to produce, whether they're able to make quality things, whether they're at profit level. So all these things, whether people are working appropriately. So all these things they can. Now, when it comes to an individual, what we need to do is that how it is going to help you is that see any setting goals. So for that matter, I'm planning to learn something new. Okay. Now, the first thing, instead of enrolling for that particular course, I will first identify what is that I value. If I know that now my mother is at my house, okay, so I know I have got the responsibility of taking care of her. So if I enroll for a course and if I cannot complete it on time, so that is not a goal that I should be setting for myself. Right? So I need to identify what is that exactly I want in my life. So values are mainly directly connected with what actually guides our life and what are the certain principles that we have in our life, which can include the values can be many, starting from love, care, relationship, family, honesty, okay, and adaptability. All these things are what you really value in your life. So identify that value at this point of time. So for me, like, my family is important. I need to take care of my mother. I need to take care, love and care. So when I'm setting the goals, I will do it accordingly. But if I think that, yes, I will be able to manage it, I'll set my mini goals accordingly. Okay. And what I do, I'll say it in a positive way. Okay, this is exactly what I wanted to learn, and I've got 3 months for this, and I plan it every week. So in a week, that's called mini goals. So in this week, how much I can finish of this particular course, and I do a review at the end. Okay, and also plan daily. So it can be that manner. When you set the goals, make a sheet of how I am going to go ahead about it. All right. So this is exactly, and if you can follow this again, it will help you to know, review where you stand. So it's like a self-evaluation for you. Okay. And if you can also follow the to-do list along with this, it will definitely going to help you. And I can tell you one thing, this productivity pyramid is closely associated with the second quadrant, that is the planning of the Stephen Covey's time management matrix. Now we are almost coming to the end of this session actually. Okay. Now another methodology that what we need to consider is the 4 Ds of time management. And I really like it because this really works in when you start working as for an organization, or if you're doing your own entrepreneurship also. The first one is that delete not only the unwanted mails, but delete certain things which you think is not going to help you out. Okay, so you know what? Actually, it's difficult for us to delete certain habits. Okay, sometimes imagine I'm giving you another hypothesis. Okay, imagine your doctor is telling you that, okay, unfortunately you have got diabetes. Okay, now everybody has got a routine, right? Now suddenly doctor is telling you you need to reduce your sugar, you need to reduce your milk. Okay, all these things, like, okay, give a list of things that you need to delete. Don't you think it's a paradigm shift for us? It's very difficult for us to acknowledge that we need to delete it. However, for the health, we need to do that, isn't it, friends? Right? So for that matter, sometimes we need to delete certain activities that we think is not helping you grow. Isn't that interesting? It's difficult, I know, because it has become a habit of you. It is just like having a coffee without the milk. I know some people cannot even think about it. But what if your doctor insists? Same manner, there are certain activities that we think that we cannot live with, it has to be deleted. When it comes to office work also, some of the activities that you think that, you don't need to do it this way, we can find another way of doing that. So delete those things. Okay. Now delegate. As I already mentioned it to you, you need to find out few time members who are equally competent. So just if I can give you a small example, maybe at the initial stage, as I told you, you will be delegated the work. But after some time, what I want you to do, if you wanted to learn something new, you need to get rid of something from your hand, right? So for that, you need to hand it over to another junior person. So here you're allowing that junior person to also learn something new, right? So only if you delegate things, you can take up new things, which is challenging. That is where you become competent there. And monotonous work is going to be really boring, my dear friends. Let me tell you that. And also I can tell you 80% of our work are monotonous. So don't you think that we need to bring some kind of interest? right? Something new, some challenges, something new product learning, right? Human beings are like that. We always crave for new things. That is our motivation. Okay. Now the third one is defer, postpone it. Okay. Or defer means actually delay it. It means delay the work. As we remember that quadrant 3 that we were speaking about, right? Okay, where if you think that this is not something urgent, like yesterday it happened actually. I was doing a research on one project, which is actually happening next month. Okay, so I got so carried away with that researching. Then after some time I realized, Rakhi, wait a minute, what are you doing? Why are you wasting so much of time on this project which is happening only next week? Don't you think that you will be spending time on the new projects which is there happening tomorrow? Okay, so that's like a ring a bell for me. So sometimes we might need to postpone that things. So when you have activities, ask yourself, should I take it over? Should I delegate it? Or should I delay it? Or I do it right now? All right, so something that we need to do. I remember once we were attending a meeting, okay? This happened when I was in Dubai. And one of our friend, it was a very important meeting, and that friend was supposed to actually do the sales index. He was supposed to actually present it. And we were so embarrassed that he didn't turn on time, okay? And he didn't come on time. Not only that, the client was a little upset also. And after sometimes when he walked in, we asked, of course, we will ask, why you were late and your phones were not answering. You know what he said? Oh, I went to fill the petrol. Now, look at the situation, my dear friends. What was urgent here? If he knew that this is there, he could have done it in advance, right? So something that if it is not planned well, it becomes urgent, and you need to be able to identify that. And I hope you all will also follow that, right? And yes, the last, we are already spoken about this delegation. There is an art behind it. I always think about there is science behind every skills. Same manner, there is an art of doing delegation. So because when I worked, I have seen certain people push the work which they think is difficult. That should not be the one, because once it is your work, that means you're responsible for that work. You can only delegate work which you think that others can do. Also, it's something help the other person to grow as well. So it is basically, it should empower your team members. They also feel motivated, pumped, and getting, helping you to get those things done. They also feel good about it. They also should feel that I'm also growing here by taking up this job. Okay. And it also, as I told, it will help them to professionally grow. And you know what, the research, which I already mentioned it to you, again, this is something that I have experienced in my life also. When I do the monotonous work, I get irritated very fast. I need challenges. Even now, I'm 48 now, but I still like to take challenges all the time. That's why I get into new projects. So I want you also to actually look into it, because only when we are challenged, okay, or any assignments, you will have that adrenaline glance, okay, moving up, and you will get pepped up to motivate something. And I'm telling you, at the end of the day, you feel so productive and effective, and you will definitely get a good sleep as well, right? So smart delegation, I would like to call it as, is the best way that you manage not only your work, so that you can take up new assignments, and of course, it can actually tap the talent of the people who work for you and with you. Imagine how much of praise that you're going to get from your team if you challenge them also. All right, friends, that's the end of this particular unit. So I believe that we were able to actually gather some insights to manage your time. So just to do a quick recap, I'll take 2 minutes more. I believe that I'm on time. Right, Janvi?
Ma'am, we are beyond time.
Beyond, huh?
Yes.
Okay, because I think I started at 7:15, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Actually,
so
it
it
was
is.
a little bit late.
Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. Mine, I understand the
Yes,
early
yes.
faculty also. Yeah, all right. So exactly, this is what we had covered today. I believe that you can just have a look at it. Did we cover all these? We spoke about the importance of time management, why it is important, because it's certainly directly connected with your career in the future. And any person that you take, a good performer, is always associated with a person who is organized, disciplined, have multidisciplinary working pattern, and they are very good time managers as well. And we spoke about a lot of techniques of prioritizing and also the strategies as well. This is what we have covered. We spoke about time management and yes, the time stressors and how they are related also. So as we rightly said, if the pressure on us is greater than the resources that we have, and time is a resource, then we get into stress, right? So why it happens? Because we don't do a proper planning, and when you take up a lot of jobs without looking into how whether I'll be able to manage or no, or some difficult job that you don't know properly, also can lead to all these stress. And yes, multitasking is one way, which I actually mentioned about how to do multitasking. I believe it's clear to all of you. And take help from others. Always take help from others. Even if you wanted to get into the good books of the manager, please don't accept the job in the readiness, okay? Because probably tomorrow you cannot go back to them asking that, oh, fine, like, because you say that you take up the job and then you are not able to finish it. And your manager or your boss will be thinking that you have done it and you were not even touched it because you don't know how to do that. So always review whatever that you have and then go back to them and ask questions. Okay. So identify what are your time wasters for that matter. It's a lot of apps or chit chatting over the phone, and identify that how we can get rid of that. And at your work also, because sometimes we are following the same methodologies again and again. You don't consider using technology, new technologies or new techniques to actually find a better way of doing that. So that's something becomes a team's time stealer as well. And the metrics we spoke in length for that matter. So any activity, please try to put it in these quadrants, right? And yes, the strategies, I think it might be really clear for all of you because we explain a lot of examples here to make it more clear to all of you. Yeah. And a lot of strategies. And along with that is the productivity pyramid. This is for your own benefit to know how whether you're growing. And I'm telling you, when you do this now, this one, at the end, when we achieve the goal, the happiness that you get is nothing less than buying your own house, because I've experienced it many times. Okay, because getting a house is something that after some time, it's materialistic, right? You'll not feel that fantasy. However, anything that you have achieved intangible in your life, that also always remain with you for that matter. You'll always make you proud about it. And of course, the 4 Ds. Okay. Yes, we spoke about it, and delegation as well. So thank you so much, my dear friends, for being here. I know you're all very hungry. It's all right already, closer to the night. So thank you so much for being here. Wish you all the very best and see you soon.
Thank you so much. That was a really wonderful session. And everyone has liked it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Janvi.
Yes, ma'am. Sure. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So
Just
we
a moment,
will.
just a
Yeah,
moment.
yeah, no problem. I think I have stopped the screen sharing, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. So now we are at the end of the session. I hope this session is very useful to you all, and a very nice explanation given by Raki ma'am. We all really enjoyed it, and really it is helpful to us in our sessions also. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Janvi. And you also have a good evening. everyone.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alvida. Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye, ma'am.
Good night.
That's all for today, students. We will meet tomorrow at 5 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you all for being so
Thank you.
patient. Yeah. Thank you. Should I end it or what should I
I'll
do?
end it. I'll
Can
end
guide-
it.
You'll end
Yes.
it? All right. Wonderful. See you next day. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.